Welcome back to the 50 State Cold Case Spotlight. Today we are in Michigan for day 3 and I will be spotlighting the case of Tracy Forquer. In 1983, 22-year-old Tracy was a mother to a 1-year-old daughter. Tracy had a large family and she was 6th out of 8 siblings. Tracy was known for her beauty and being the social butterfly who loved spending time with her friends and family. Tracy's family described her as part rebel and part dreamer. In October of 1983, Tracy, who had been struggling with addiction and had turned to sex work to support her addiction, had grown rail thin and looked exhausted when visiting her family. Charlotte, Tracy's mother, said that Tracy liked to party and she loved to drink, and she was often at bars on Michigan Avenue and was well known by her drink half and half whiskey, half schnapps. Charlotte says sometime before Christmas the year before, Tracy had told her family she had stopped drinking. Charlotte said she didn't know how someone with such an addiction could suddenly stop. And around August of 1983, Tracy told her mother, quote, "I want my half and halves. I can't take this life no more," unquote. She was visiting her mom and had lost a considerable amount of weight. Charlotte was never a fan of Tracy's choices, but she said she understood her. The family tried to intervene and help Tracy where they could, and they could see how much she was struggling. On October 25th, 1983, just before 3 a.m., Charlotte heard the police radio in her home crack to life, and she heard the dispatcher say that there was, quote, "a report of a woman screaming," unquote. In Charlotte's exhaustion, she rolled over and fell back asleep. The next day, she learned that that report was most likely about her daughter, Tracy. Officers did respond to that report, arriving at 1106 East Oakland Avenue, where they found a large pool of blood outside of a well-known abandoned home used by addicts and sex workers. Officers said they spent the next hour and a half searching the area but found nothing that explained the blood. 10 hours later, an anonymous caller phoned into the police station and gave them a tip that led them to Tracy's lifeless body. Tracy was found lying in the weeds in the tall grass next to a house on East Oakland Avenue where the report of the screaming had originated. The autopsy would reveal that she had died from a stab wound to the chest but suffered multiple stab wounds and was badly beaten before her death. A witness came forward telling the Lansing Police Department that Tracy was last seen around 2:30 a.m. on October 25th getting into a dull silver 1970 to 1973 Bronco on East Michigan Avenue and Larch Street. The witness would tell officers that they last saw Tracy alive sitting between the two men in this Bronco described as two white men. The driver of the Bronco is described as a white man about 30 to 40 years old with brown hair and glasses. A passenger is described as about 30 to 35 years old with brown shoulder-length hair, a small mustache, and he was wearing a tan shirt and a brown tie. Investigators asked the men to come forward to be interviewed, which by all accounts never happened. Around 4 months later, on February 2nd, Bonnie Guillen, 29, a known associate and friend of Tracy that investigators had interviewed about Tracy's murder, was found deceased near the 1800 block of Glen Rose Avenue, and an autopsy determined that she had been stabbed several times. Investigators were able to determine that the last time that Bonnie was seen alive was in the first weeks of January. It didn't take investigators long to make a connection between Tracy and Bonnie's deaths due to the similarity and the fact that they did know each other, were in the same industry, and likely came across the same clients. Investigators went back and traced Bonnie's steps leading up to her death, and they determined based on some of her court appearances that she missed that she had likely been deceased for several weeks before she was found. Investigators did re-interview those in the community in hopes of new information to come forward, but that didn't garner any new leads in Tracy or Bonnie's cases. Today, both Tracy and Bonnie's cases remain unsolved, and I don't see any information about them being officially linked on the Lansing, Michigan Cold Case page. If you have any information in Tracy or Bonnie's case, please contact the Lansing Police Cold Case Department at 517-483-4600. Thank you so much for taking the time to get to know Tracy today and Bonnie, and don't forget when you see those missing and murdered posts on social media to hit like and share, because every time we share a face, we do get closer to solving a case. And I will see you guys back here for Michigan Day 4 tomorrow.